Alrighty, the curb. Your buyer's just pulling up to the house. And I can't stress this enough. They will have an opinion right there. So let's make sure it's a good one. Because if they feel good about pulling up to a house and then they walk in and they really like the first room that they walk into, that tour is going to go a lot nicer. It's going to go a lot easier. So let's talk about what they see at the house. What they want to see is they want to make sure there's not a honey-do list. You know, when you're looking at a home, you can't tell the state of the roof. You can't tell if the plumbing issues have been addressed. You can't tell if there's any electrical issues or any of that. You can't really tell if the house has been well maintained. But when you pull up to the front of a home, you can tell if the house has been well maintained by what the garage door looks like, what the condition is, what the condition is of the door handle and the screen door, and are there cracks in the driveway? These are things that we're going to talk about right now. So your buyer pulls up. Here's what I want them to see. I want them to see a garage door that's clean and doesn't have any peeling paint. So many garage doors do. I personally live in Denver, Colorado. We get a lot of sun. The front of our houses get beat up. You really want to make sure that nowhere on the house do you have peeling paint. That's not only on the garage, that's also on any railings. Railings also very often just get paint peeling from them. You may have metal railings and they've rusted out. That could happen too. So we want to address those things. If it means just sanding down, get a quart of paint and putting another coat of paint on those railings, on the garage door, maybe some planters that you have in front, some shutters, please do it. It's such an easy fix and it will take such care of you. The other thing I've often noticed is we'll have gutters that come down on the side of our house, and then there's another longer piece that brings the rainwater away from the house. How do we all lose those? Where do they go? They're like socks in the dryer. I never see them there. Sometimes I see people with a little concrete piece that it has a channel in it, but so often there's nothing there. Listen, if you have a gutter that comes along the side of your house, make sure that it has a piece that shows the water runs away from the house, because buyers are going to notice that. If they don't notice it the first time, they'll definitely notice it the second when they're back for a second tour. So the other thing is, I've had people power wash their house, and I am amazed at the difference it makes. Oh my gosh, you think windows get dirty? Houses get dirty, they get dusty. Power washing a house makes such a huge difference. You can rent them at Lowe's, you can rent them at Home Depot or Aaron's Rent-A-Center. There's so many places you can rent these power washers and just give your house a once over. It's amazing how much fresher and cleaner it looks. So we want to make sure that your garage doesn't have peeling paint, that your railings don't have any peeling paint, that your shutters, your window boxes don't have peeling paint. That's an easy fix. We want to make sure that the gutter is addressed and it looks like you take good care of that area. The next thing we want to do is we want to look at the front door. So many front doors are careworn because the reality is we're not walking through the front door. Most of the time, we're walking through the garage. So on that front door, make sure it looks pristine. Make sure if it needs to be painted, you paint it. A little thing that I found out on wooden doors is I had a very hard time, if a door needed to be restained, I had a very hard time finding any painters that wanted to do that. They said it was a pain in the butt, and they always suggested to me, just go ahead and paint the door, don't restain it. It'll never look the way you want it to look. So if that's the case, it's a good opportunity to pick a new, bright, fresh color and go ahead and pick maybe an avocado color or a plum color or a charcoal color, something that's really going to juice up and spruce up your house. Why not if this is the opportunity? Now, the next thing we want to do is we want to make sure that your lights are in working order. And a lot of times I tell people, if you have the budget, change out the front light, the entry lights, and the lights by the garage. Contractors will always choose small scale, inexpensive lights. And that's what they'll put in, and they're absolutely fine. But if you can find the budget, and I'm talking $75, $85 to $119 per light, if you can find the budget to change out those lights and get something larger, get something that's maybe 3 to 4 inches larger than what you have right now, that will make your house look so much more grand. It is amazing how that little difference has such a big impact. Now, one of the things I'm going to do is in my link in the bio, I'm going to be sending you back to different sites where I'll have recommended lights that you can look at and that you can purchase if you think that it'll work for you. So often buyers, the sellers rather, would say to me, "Jean, I understand what you mean about a chandelier, but I couldn't pick one out. I didn't know what to get." So I always had a selection of products for my clients to look at, things that were super affordable because you don't want to spend money on a house you're leaving. I mean, you won't get to enjoy it. So they're super affordable, really good values that you can go ahead, go to the link and pick out what you like and use it for your home. Or not, just go to Home Depot or Lowe's or one of the big box stores, pick out something you like. But I would always suggest going 3 or 4 inches larger than what you have now, for sure. Now, the next thing is I want to make sure, because everybody has it, rusted door handles. Let's not. It, let's change that door handle. It's not cheap. That's going to be about $125 to $160 per door handle. That's not cheap. That's a little bit of an investment, but it's a smart investment because it's the first thing you see when you enter that house. If you can't do it, if the budget isn't there, don't worry about it. Try and clean it up, polish it up. It is what it is. Same thing with your lights. If you can't afford new lights, don't worry about it, but do make sure that they're clean, they're dust free. If you can give them another coat of paint to make them look extra shiny black, do that and make sure you're putting your best foot forward. On doors, a lot of times people have broken screen doors. I just told them take it off. Just take off the screen door. It's kind of an annoyance. If it's in good shape, or if it's in good shape, leave it. But if it's not in good shape because it needs a new screen, then maybe leave it in the garage or the basement. And if they want to rescreen it, they can. Or if there's no dents in it, if it's not beat up, it just maybe the screen is old or it's falling off, then keep it, put it in the garage. But I always take those off, to tell you the truth, and I ask people to just give a wow factor to the front door. I think that's more important. The other thing I want you to do is at your front door, I want you to look up. Because if you have an alcove, you have dust up there. There's always cobwebs. Again, we don't walk through our front door, right? We just don't do it. It's the garage. So look up, knock those things back, make sure you take them down. Now, the last thing I wanted to talk to you about is dressing up the house and making it look charming. But the main thing I wanted to address in this video is I don't want to give anybody a honey-do list, and I want your best foot forward. So the last thing I can tell you on this video is look at your driveway. If you have any cracks in the driveway, check with your local codes, because in my neighborhood, I think it was bigger than a half an inch and it was a tripping hazard, and the inspector was going to go ahead and notate that. You don't want that showing up on an inspection report. So find out from your county code what is considered acceptable in terms of a crack in your driveway, and really look to see if it's something you can patch in and look a little bit nicer. Certainly you want to go ahead and make sure that it doesn't look like there's a big job waiting for somebody. That turns buyers off hugely. So on the next video, we're going to talk about the pretty, which is a lot of fun, and let's get to that.